it like we see it," I said, giving the bag a jab. It was really pitiful how much I had to hold back on this thing. I felt like I was shadowboxing with a child, afraid to even let it have a tap. When I channeled the strength of the strongest soul I had within, a really nasty beast named Wolf, I could hit hard enough to probably knock a train off its tracks. I hadn't tried that yet, though I kept secretly hoping some grandiose ass would jack a BNSF freight engine just so I could find out. He's supposed to keep us quietly under the radar so that President Harmon can win re-election without having to answer for my various and sundry misdeeds. And a fine job he's doing of that lately. Ariadne froze in place, mid-turn, and looked straight at me. I could see the regret pile up in her eyes as I watched. Her red skin flared brighter for a second and then drained. "I am so sorry, Sienna." I hit the bag and heard its industrial-grade space-age material rip from the force of compression. Damn it, I hadn't even channeled Wolf or twisted when I punched. I just got a little rough with a straight-on shot from the hip and... a mountain of sand spilled out of the bottom of the bag. I yelped like I was the Wicked Witch and it was water and flung myself into the air. I hung there, about 4 feet above it all as the bag emptied, sand spilling out, billowing around me under the fluorescent lights. Ariadne coughed and covered her mouth, taking an involuntary step back. "Damn it," I said, once the contents were mostly emptied. I hovered, more disappointed in my failure of control than anything. The whole point of the bag, I had convinced myself, was to help me to control myself. If I really wanted to go out and just beat the hell out of something to show my strength, there was no shortage of trees in the northwoods of Minnesota I could go smash. It helped toughen up my skin against future traumas, too. That was another quirk of Wolf's power that I could channel. I looked at Ariadne, and she just looked so damned guilty. "Sorry," she said again. "It's okay." I floated back to the ground, feeling the weight of gravity take over again, and landed on my feet far enough away from the mound of sand that I didn't have to fear slipping. Not that I feared slipping much anyway. It's not your fault that every single person in the media seems to have a sudden, deep, insatiable yearning to cast me as the next... I searched for an appropriate villain. What's the governmental equivalent of Hitler, Stalin, and Mao combined? I believe they were all government figures of some kind," Ariadne said. "Right," I said. "I'm them, but with fewer atrocities, body counts, and, oh yeah, actual power to affect anything." "Well, you're catching up fast on one of those," came a voice from behind me. I turned my head to see my brother, half-brother, Reed Treston, standing at the entry to the training room, hair back in a ponytail and rocking a full-on gray suit. He had a few months of beard going on, too, which was really different for him, but it cleared up his babyface issue. I had a feeling he'd done it so that his much older girlfriend wouldn't have to feel quite so aged in his presence. Okay, I mostly hoped that last bit, out of pettiness. I still don't like his girlfriend. "The atrocities or the body count?" I asked, trying not to put too much care into it. Reed had been distant for months. We'd had a conversation in my room that had seemed to change the nature of our relationship. That had been in January, right after I'd destroyed half the campus while fending off a prison break/terrorist attack. We barely hung out anymore, talked pretty tersely when we had to work together, and had many moments of extremely awkward tension filled with a lot of passive aggression. It was great, like being part of a real family, one with big, fat, honking issues. Oh, right. I already said like being part of a real family. "Matter of opinion," he said tightly, then unfolded his arms to reveal a manila folder clutched in one hand. "I'd be interested to hear which it is in yours," Ariadne said. "No, you wouldn't." Reed and I both answered in unison, never breaking off from looking right at one another. "Here to train?" I asked, gesturing to the heavy bag. He could and did use the bag without any problems. Well, until now. Because I kinda had an accident. "At least it doesn't require a change of pants," he said, shrugging it off. "I've got something." "Kinda figured since you're here and talking," I said, nodding at the folder. "What's up?"